Okay.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
How are you, Sarah? Sarah, I'm sorry. How are you?
It's okay, Aarushi. I'm doing good. How have you been?
I'm good. It's too hot. It's very hot.
It's steaming hot. I think today it's already 39 degrees or something like that in Mumbai.
We have a hello from Asha.
Okay.
Hi, Asha. How are you? Thank you for joining.
Thank you for joining, Asha. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. So,
hello, Chelsea. Hello, Harshi.
Hello, Chelsea.
Lots of people.
Hello, Harsh. Thank you. Thank you for joining. So today we wanted to talk about something, of course, English related, but we focus a lot on English conversations, correct? Like a lot of what we do is to focus on conversations, but we really wanted to also create some dialogue, and we wanted to talk about how to start a conversation, because that's one of the most important things, how to start it, how to not make it awkward, how to make it interesting, how to make the person we're talking to comfortable. So yeah, that's what we're going to do today. We have a question from Asha. I'm in classes. Till when will the live go on? The live will end at about 5:30, but the live will still be on the platform, Asha, on YouTube. So you can always check us out. And you can also check the previous lives. Thank you for the question. All right. So Sarah, let's get started.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right. Okay. So what are some questions you have for us? How to start a conversation?
So I think it's very important to know some really nice, tricky ways to keep the person you're talking to engaged. And of course, questions like how are you doing and how are you are good and friendly, but there are also very interesting ways to start conversations. So one of the questions could be, tell me about yourself, right? The thing is, this question isn't a question, it's a statement. So the person is already, the person doesn't feel obligated to tell you something about themselves, but they may think that, okay, this is a fun way to start a conversation, and they may want to engage with you. So that's one thing one way you can start a conversation. And I think another one would be, what made you smile today? I know it seems like a little cringy, but it's a very exciting thing because perspective, right? The smallest things can make people smile, make them happy. You get to know more about the person you're talking to, and that's what matters, That's another thing. And the next one would be, of course, in the time we are in, social media is very important. And of course, at one point in the conversation, for sure, you're going to ask the person for their Instagram handle or their Snapchat or something like that. So instead of, asking them for everything they are on, you can just ask them about what is their favorite form of social media. That will enable you to get more connection with them. And you also make sure that even after you are done talking, you still have a way to connect with them later on. And I think another way could be by asking them what is something exciting they've done lately. Again, for the similar reason of perspective, right? Mundane things could be exciting for someone else. So it helps you broaden your perspective about things, broaden your horizons, and learn more about the person. So those are a few things from my side. What about you, Aarushi? How would you start a conversation?
Right. So the social media thing or even the book thing works, right? Because that's how you can start your conversations. A lot of us, especially when the pandemic started, a lot of things switched online, and we had time to simultaneously let's watch new shows or watch new movies. So you can always ask that, what do you think is the best show on a particular platform, or what have you been watching these days? It can be a movie, it can be a show, it can be anything, but you can always start your conversation like that. So what have you been watching lately? That's something that you can do. Like, of course, like in a Sarah, and of course, like she must be watching something or the other. It can just be a YouTube video for that matter, but at least she let us know what she's watching. So, and next is have you, so like because the lockdown stopped and everything was opened up in the city, a few of us have been able to travel to a few places. So you can always ask that, have you been on interesting trips lately, or have you been to interesting places lately, right? So you can always ask that, where did you go last, like when was the last time you ever stepped out of your house, like where did you go, what did you do there? So that's something that you can always ask. um, and so that can be one thing. Okay, something else what you can always do, Sarah, with the question you can ask is that, what do you think was the best movie, or like your favorite movie last year? What was it? So think a particular movie that you really liked or you really enjoyed. What was that movie? You can always ask that, and that can be helpful for you to start a conversation. And then they can, everybody likes to rant, like everybody likes to express their views, everybody likes to be heard. So that is something that you can of course ask, and then you give them space to talk.
Right.
So that's something that you can do. Next question can be, so let's say the both of you are just sitting on a dining table, or like sitting somewhere or talking, like walking and talking, right? So that rhymes with walking and talking. You can always ask that, is there a particular song you would like to put on right now? Is there a particular song that you really like, that you're obsessed with, and that you want to put on right now, and why are you obsessed with it? Like, what do you like about that song? And then they again, you give them the space to talk, so that they can open up about what they're liking in the song. What about what, like, do they like the artist or something like that? So yeah, so that's a few questions that you can ask from my end. And yeah,
before we continue, please remember to like and subscribe to our channel and check out our previous lives if you want to stay more in connect with English and learn more skills. So yes, and we haven't gotten any questions so far, so please give us all your questions. We would love to answer them. Moving on, another very common thing which comes up in conversations, especially when you're meeting new people, is if they are a dog person or a cat person. And very rarely you'll find people who are both.
right.
Very rarely.
Absolutely, of course.
Right? So that's something which really gets people hooked, because then they want to talk about things like why they like cats and why they don't like dogs, etc., etc. So it really gets the conversation started and it gives a nice flow to the conversation. That's one thing. The next thing would be the entire aspect of extrovert and ambivert and introvert. So it's an interesting thing to know about the person, because then you can decide how you want to meet them the next time. If you want to go to a crowded place, if you want to go to a small cafe somewhere, it really sets the ambience for the next meeting, because you know more about the person. So that's another thing. Then of course you can ask them about what is their secret talent. But instead of asking them something like, oh, what's your secret talent, you can ask them, what's your strangest secret talent? Because it will be really cool, because then you get to know a little more intimately about the person and what they don't tell a lot of people about themselves. So that's another thing you can ask. And if the person you're talking to is working, if they're interning somewhere, if they are just graduated and they are searching for jobs, you can ask them what their dream career is.
Right.
It's and even if they are currently working, right, you can ask them, if you weren't working over here, what kind of job would you want to work at? It's important to know how to ask a few risky questions if you're comfortable and if you feel like the person also is going in a comfortable place with you, because only then will you know more about the person you're talking to, and only then you'll get more things to talk about. Right. So those are a few questions again from my end.
Right. Yes, and along with that question about what do you want to do, what is your dream profession, that you can ask to anybody, right? Because you never know, they might want to change their profession, they might want to do something else altogether. So that's something that you can always ask. Thanks for that, Sarah. And with that, like, this will sound more like an interview question, but you can always ask that, hey, like, what is your plan for the next 5 years? Like, where do you see yourself? And that's again a bit formal sort of a question to ask if you want to casually meet somebody. But you can always ask them that, hey, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Or what's up with you? What is your plan? And always adding some sort of humor in your questions will always help, because you can ask that, like, I know this will sound like an interview, but what's up with you? Like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because I really want to know. So that's the tone, that is the way you can ask them, and you can immediately make them feel comfortable. Now, the next question, I really thought about this, and I'm like, this is such a cool question. If somebody asked this to me, I would be entertained. So the question is, what superpower do you wish you could have? Imagine that being the first question somebody asks you when they meet you. It will be so entertaining, right, to answer that. So yeah, it's like, what superpower do you wish you could have? And then they can use their imagination. You will catch them off guard. To catch somebody off guard is to they won't be prepared for your question, and then they'll answer. They'll have to use their imagination, and they'll also get to know your sense of humor. They'll get to know that you're a very cool, a calm person who wants to know about. Again, a pretty funny question to ask is that, where would you go on a vacation if you had no budget at all? So in the sense, like, you had a lot of money, of course, and nothing, like, no other variables could essentially stop you, right? And you can go on a vacation anywhere. So where would you go? So that's a question you could always ask. Then you can ask, if you could travel back in time, what decade would you choose to live in? Again, a imagination based question. So this can make this will make them imagine, think about their answer, and then both of you can start on a pretty interesting topic, and then you will get to know what are their opinions on past, traveling to the past or traveling to the future or being in the present. So that is something that you can do.
Right. And one very important thing is that when you're talking to someone, you want to try and be as spontaneous as you can. So like, having a prototype question in your mind is always beneficial, right? So if they are an avid reader, you can ask them, what's the best book you've read in your life? If they are an avid movie watcher, if they like to watch movies, if they like to binge watch shows, what's the best show you've watched in your life? If they're a foodie, what's the best meal you've watched? So having that prototype question of what is the best cash you've done in your life is a really good backup plan to have if you feel the conversation is going stale or boring, because it gets things back in the flow, So that's one other thing which you can always keep handy. The next thing is, I think there is this entire situation which I asked to imagine, that if your house was burning and you have to take one thing on you, only one thing, not a person, what would you take? It's a very interesting question. I have heard it going around many times, and it's so difficult to come up with an answer at the initial heat of the moment.
Right.
Pun intended. So this is another way to sort of it's an interesting question. You learn about the priorities of the person, and you understand more about them, because whatever they take out from the fire, the imaginary fire of the house, is of course the most important thing to them at that moment, So you get to know about their likes and what is more important to them at a particular time. That's another thing. And of course, please feel free to ask as much as you can about traveling, because I don't think there is anyone who doesn't like to travel. It's a very rare instance when you come across a person who's like, I just want to stay at home and never leave my house and never travel. So feel free to go around things like, how many countries have you traveled? Have you been? How many places in India have you been to? How many places abroad have you been to? So just go crazy with questions like that, because I don't think you can ever get enough of the question. Because once you ask the question of where have you been, then you can follow up with, oh, what have you done there? What was the favorite part about this trip? So it's a very loaded question. It gives you a lot of information. So that's a really nice question to ask. And and then of course you can ask them about things like, how do you like to travel? By plane, do you have motion sickness? Do you get do you feel nervous before getting into a plane? Do you overthink about it? Many things to ask about modes of transport. So that's another thing you can keep in mind when talking to another person. So yeah, back to you, Aarushi. Let's see if we've gotten any questions.
Right.
But
as you're watching us, please like and subscribe. and to see more of our content. And on our YouTube channel, you will be able to see our past lives, our reels, our videos. So please do watch them and give them a like and subscribe.
Absolutely. Hi, Janesh. Hi, Ashraful. Ashraful is watching us from Bangladesh. That's
Hello.
very nice. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us. Sarah talked about traveling and which mode of transport she wants to use as she's traveling. So one question related to not traveling, but where you're going or where would you want to go is, would you rather be really hot or really cold? So right now, the ones who are in India, especially all of us are going through a heat wave. So we are really hot right now. And so if I am asked a question like that, I would always say I want to be in a very moderate climate, because I'm pretty sure really cold is also something that will not suit me. But that's a question you can always ask, because a lot of people are from countries which tend to be warmer, right, closer to the equator, and a lot other section of people are from colder countries. So, and people always like what they don't really have, like they've not experienced. So somebody like me, I would want to vacation at a place which is cold, right? So you can always ask them that, would you rather be really hot or really cold, or be in a place which is really hot or really cold, and you immediately get to know their opinion. Then you can ask them again, do you like documentaries? This is a question related to films and shows, and you can always ask that, do you like documentaries? Have you watched any good ones recently? So if you like watching documentaries, and maybe you can let them know that this recent documentary was released on this and it was super interesting. Have you watched it before? Do you like watching it? They might say, oh no, I find documentaries boring. Or they say, oh, I've watched it. But again, you will at least have a topic to talk on. So that is something that you can use. Then you can ask if you like celebrities, and if you really like reading on them and knowing and being up to date with what is going on with them. And you think that you are in a situation where that person is also, maybe you can ask that, did you read the latest news on a particular celebrity? Or did you check out the new movie that they released? This is a question that you can ask. Then you can ask that if you could host a talk show, who would you have on first? So this is a pretty interesting question. A lot of these questions are imagination based, in the sense that they will make you think, they will make the person you're talking to think. So you can ask this, and then they let you know that if they're hosting a talk show, whom would they invite. That would also let you know who's their favorite person, or somebody they are interested in or comfortable with, and then they'll invite them to their show. And then you can build on that, right? Yes, Sarah?
Yes, that's right.
Right. So they'll build on that, and then you can build on that, and you can ask them several other follow-up questions, like, when will this be? On which channel will it be? Will it just be like a YouTube thing, or it will be like a broadcast on a television thing? What will it be? And then you can have that conversation, and then both of you can get started on that. So that's something that you can do. Sarah?
Right. Yes. I think also you can, of course, ask them the more basic questions as well. Just because they're giving us so many suggestions doesn't mean you go out of the way and extraordinary questions, etc. You can ask questions like, what are your favorite hobbies? What do you do in your pastime? If you had an off from work, from college, from school, wherever you're doing, whatever you're doing, how would you spend that day? And then, of course, you can ask them things like, which will require them to think about it, but will actually be reality-based questions, like, describe yourself in 3 words, and tell me 2 things about yourself which nobody else knows. It depends on the intimacy and the level of confidence and trust you have on each other. But as you grow and as you sort of learn more about the person and feel more comfortable with them, and you can see if they are being comfortable with you, you can ask questions like these as well. There are also fun things like, tell me 2 truths and 1 lie about yourself, and I'll tell you what is the lie and what is the truth amongst them. They are very creative ways to ask people and to know more about them. So, you can frame questions like that, and you can just, be as creative as you can with the questions.
Right. Yes, as Sarah said, be creative with your questions. The more creative they are, the more interesting your conversation will be. So if you think, you can always ask them that do they like to watch sports? Is that something they enjoy? If they do like to watch sports and you like to watch sports, then you can always ask, what is your favorite sport? Maybe the thing that you like, the sports is in common for the both of you. So then you can have a conversation on that. That can be one. Then again, like a pretty interesting question, you can answer, what's the best holiday? Right. Some of us really like Diwali break. Some of us really like the Christmas break. Some of us enjoy the holy holiday, right? We like it for different reasons. For some of us, the holidays might just be after our birthday, so we enjoy that and we enjoy that break. It's different for different people. So you can always ask, what is your most favorite holiday, and then they'll give you reasons for that. And then you can also discuss, oh, so when was the last time, where did you go on the last Diwali break or last Christmas break? So that's something you can ask. So yeah, yes, Sarah.
I think we have a question, Aarushi, in the chat box by Seth. Let's take that question and then we'll carry on from there. The question Seth asks is, sometimes I mess up with my tenses. So what is the remedy to use proper tenses and how to have a good sentence structure? So Aarushi, how about you take the tenses part of it and I'll take the sentence structure part of it.
Right. Yeah. So for you to be thorough with your tenses, this is from Seth, right? Yes. For you to be thorough with your tenses, you will have to first clear your basics, right? From what I understand now, I don't know exactly where you are when it comes to tenses, but you can always clear out your basics by referring to Wren and Martin, which is an English textbook. You can always look at the topics there, tenses, how it is covered, solve those exercises, and then once you're clear with the basics, then you can go ahead and start reading books or start watching shows with and without subtitles. You can do all of that later. But for now, you can refer to exercises, tenses, exercises which have tenses, solve those exercises. And the tenses that you find are difficult, especially like let's say past perfect tense is something that is difficult. Like it gets complex. It's just not past, right? It's past perfect. So the type of tenses that you find difficult, I would like you to take a note of that on your notepad, on phone, right? Or write them down. And every day, please look at their different forms. So like generic words that are used in everyday life, you can write down their different forms, their past tense, future tense, present, all of that. And you can make a note of it and continuously, like every day, make a point to look at the different forms of that one word so that it gets cemented in your mind as to what is the past form, what is the present form. And when you're looking at it every single day, when you're looking at those tenses, please make sentences out of it. Just don't look at the words, make sentences out of it so you understand how to practically use those words. So that is what you can do with your tenses. So two things, right? First is that go through Wren and Martin or any other accredited English textbook that you can look up online, right? Do not buy anything. You can find the online versions. So you do that. And second is that you make a note of all the tenses and pick regular words, right? That you use in a daily life. Look at their different questions and then note them down on a notepad on your phone or on a piece of paper and look at them every single day. So that's how you will be able to cement that in your mind.
Right. I absolutely agree. And when it comes to the sentence structure part of the question, Seth, one thing which you will hear a lot in any of the sessions where you ask them about how do you improve sentence structure, the first thing is it's important to get some reading done. So, pick up good authors and like John Green, Paulo Coelho, and many authors like that. Try to read up on their books, see the sentence structure that they have. Especially focus on punctuation as well, because it's important that when you're speaking, you learn how to take pauses, appropriate pauses, exclamations, etc. So focus a little on reading, and more importantly, try to get that reading done out loud as well. So even try to speak more and try to, don't read it in your mind, read it out loud. That really helps you get your sentence structure more defined. And since grammar and sentence structure are very linked, it's important to focus on things like prepositions, tenses, etc. So try to brush up on your grammar while you're working on sentence structure as well. So practice reading and exercises should really help you to connect the sentence structure and the grammar part of it and improve your conversation skills as well. So
Yeah.
we really hope that answers your question, Seth.
Yes, he has thanked us. They have thanked us. Thank you so much, Seth, for the question. If we don't have any more questions, we are done with our questions, like the conversation starters that we wanted to talk to you guys about. I hope they help you, and I hope you're able to have great conversations and you're able to make new friends. And yeah, and you're able to perfect your English, because that's what we do. Also, we have a diverse range of speakers on our platform who can always help you with English and with helping you perfect your English. So you can always do that. You can subscribe and uh, book a session with a speaker, and then they'll be able to help you out. Yes.
Right.
Sarah, do you have something to say before we end?
No, I am good. I had a great time with you, Aarushi, and I'm really hoping that everyone who watched the live have learned a few ways to and remembered, made notes of how to keep conversations interesting, how to start conversations with new people, and how to, learn more about them with more than just mundane, simple questions.
Right. Yep. All right then. Please to like and subscribe to our channel. Please comment, and you can find all our lives on our platform always. So you can go back to the lives, you can refer to them, you can refer to these questions and a lot of other content that was covered in the previous live. We will see all of you next Friday. Until then, please stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.